Why luck looks like skill. Most people think gambling is dangerous because it makes people chase money. That is true, but it is not the whole story. The deeper danger is more subtle. Gambling can make randomness feel personal. It can make a machine feel responsive. It can make chance look like judgment. And once chance starts to feel like judgment, people begin to believe a very expensive illusion that they are not just playing a game, they are reading a signal. This is the hidden lesson behind machine gambling. It is not only a story about casinos, it is a story about human judgment, risk, control, and the modern products that learn how to keep us engaged. The book behind today's idea is Addiction by Design by the cultural anthropologist Natasha Dow Schull. Schull spent years studying machine gambling in Las Vegas. She interviewed gamblers, casino operators, designers, and people whose lives had been reshaped by electronic gambling machines. What she found was not just a story about greed, it was a story about design. The first thing to understand is that modern slot machines are not simply old mechanical devices with brighter screens. They are engineered environments. Every small detail has a job. The lever was replaced by a button. That sounds like a minor change, but it matters. A lever slows the player down. A button reduces friction. It lets the player make far more bets in the same amount of time. Coins were replaced by bills, tickets, and stored credits. That also sounds convenient, but convenience changes behavior. When money becomes points on a screen, the pain of losing becomes softer. A payout no longer interrupts the session with the sound of coins falling. The machine can keep the player inside the flow. The chair, the angle of the screen, the tactile feedback, the sound effects, the color, and the speed of the game all work together. The goal is not only to entertain, the goal is to create continuity. Keep the player seated. Keep the next action obvious. Keep the result immediate. Keep the feeling of control alive. This is where the psychology becomes important. A player may believe that a button press matters. They may feel the timing, rhythm, attention, or instinct can influence the result. But in electronic gambling, that feeling is often an illusion. The outcome can be determined by the machine's internal system before the player believes the decisive moment has arrived. The player experiences action. The system delivers randomness. The player experiences choice. The system manages probability. The player experiences control. The business manages the expected return. This is why luck can look like skill. When a system gives you rapid feedback, vivid rewards, and small moments of agency, your brain naturally begins to search for patterns. You remember the near misses. You remember the moment when you almost won. You remember the feeling that you had the right rhythm for a few minutes. But randomness is very good at producing stories. Given enough trials, chance will create streaks, near misses, lucky runs, and painful reversals. The human mind then tries to turn those events into meaning. This is not limited to gambling. Markets do the same thing to us. A trader makes money in a rising market and begins to believe the profit came from superior judgment. An investor buys a risky asset during a boom and begins to mistake liquidity for insight. A founder grows quickly in a favorable cycle and begins to confuse timing with genius. In each case, the danger is not success itself. The danger is the story that success creates. When the outcome is positive, people often ask, "What did I do right?" That can be a useful question, but it can also become a trap, because sometimes the honest answer is, the environment was favorable, the cycle was forgiving, and the risk had not shown itself yet. Clear judgment requires a different question. Not just did this work, but what would have happened if the environment had been different? This is the discipline that gambling machines quietly destroy. They compress risk into a tight loop: bet, wait, reveal. Each cycle is short, each result feels meaningful, each loss feels recoverable, each win feels like confirmation. The machine does not need to persuade the player with an argument. It persuades through rhythm. Fast repetition is powerful because it reduces reflection. You do not step back and ask whether the system is fair, whether the odds are against you, or whether the feeling of control is real. You simply continue. This is why many machine gamblers are not only chasing wealth. Schull found that many were chasing a state. They wanted to enter what some described as a zone, a place where the world became simpler, quieter, and more predictable. That detail matters. From the outside, gambling looks chaotic. The outcome is uncertain. The risk is high. The losses can be severe. But from the inside, the machine can feel strangely stable. It responds clearly. It asks simple questions. Press this button. Choose this option. Continue or stop. Win or lose. The interaction is clean, fast, and free from the messiness of real life. For someone overwhelmed by uncertainty, this can feel like relief. That is one of the most uncomfortable lessons here. People do not only become attached to pleasure, they can become attached to predictability, even when the predictable pattern is harmful. The same pattern appears far beyond casinos. Many digital products are built around variable rewards. Sometimes there is a message, sometimes there is a like, sometimes there is a new opportunity, a discount, a match, a signal, a price move, or a notification. The reward is not guaranteed, and that is part of the pull. If the reward arrived every time, we would adapt to it. If it never arrived, we would leave. But when it arrives unpredictably, the mind keeps checking. This is the bridge between gambling design and modern attention design. The product does not simply offer value, it trains a loop. It teaches the user that the next action might produce something meaningful. Maybe the next spin, maybe the next swipe, maybe the next chart refresh, maybe the next trade, maybe the next piece of news. The surface changes, but the psychological structure is familiar. A person faces uncertainty, receives intermittent feedback, and begins to confuse activity with judgment. In markets, this confusion can be especially expensive. During a boom, almost every action can look smart. Risk feels manageable because losses have not arrived yet. Leverage feels rational because asset prices keep rising. Speed feels like decisiveness. Confidence feels like expertise. Then the cycle turns. What looked like skill is revealed as exposure. What looked like insight is revealed as a favorable environment. What looked like control is revealed as dependence on conditions that were never under your control. This does not mean skill is fake. Real skill exists. Good judgment exists. Risk management matters. But skill is not proven by a single outcome. It is not proven by one streak, one boom, one trade, one lucky year, or one dramatic win. Skill is tested across conditions. Can the decision survive a different environment? Can the process explain losses as clearly as wins? Can the person separate what they controlled from what they merely benefited from? That separation is the heart of judgment. The lesson of machine gambling is not just do not gamble. That is obvious. The deeper lesson is be careful with any system that gives you fast feedback, small choices, variable rewards, and the feeling that one more action will restore control. Those systems can make you feel active while quietly narrowing your judgment. They can make you feel informed while feeding you noise. They can make you feel powerful while making you more dependent on the next result. So what is the practical rule? When an activity gives you rapid emotional feedback, slow down before you trust the story it creates. Ask 3 questions. First, what part of this outcome did I actually control? Second, what part may have been luck, timing, or the environment? Third, if the result had gone the other way, would I still defend the decision process? These questions matter because the mind is very good at learning the wrong lesson from a lucky result. A lucky win can teach overconfidence. A near miss can teach false hope. A streak can teach the illusion of pattern. A fast system can teach the habit of reacting before thinking. Clear thinking begins when we stop treating every outcome as a message about our ability. Sometimes a win is just a win. Sometimes a loss is just a loss. And sometimes the most important signal is not the result on the screen, but the design of the system that keeps pulling us back to play again.